Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk. Hello. This is your host, Jay Real. Welcome to another week of Real Family Talk. Hope everybody's having a great evening out there. It's a nice Tuesday evening in Orlando. Nice weather as always. Gotta appreciate the weather in Orlando. I know I do. Only place that I'm ready to live for the rest of my life. So we'll see how that goes. We got a couple people in the building tonight. We got a couple guests that's going to join us. Have a good time. Got some of my normal crew is here with me as well. How you doing tonight, Jeremy?
I'm good. How's everybody doing out there?
Doing all right. Mr. King just walked in the building too. How you doing, Mr. King?
Brother, I've been here. I don't know what you were talking about. You okay?
Mr. King's in the building. And like I said, we got a couple guests tonight. Joining us tonight will be Mr. Chad McKendrick is back in the building. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
All right, and joining us a little bit later, after we talk to Chad, will be Mr. Bruce Antone, Florida Congressman, is going to be joining us tonight, talk about the legislative session that just ended in Florida. So he'll be joining us as well. But so we got a couple of great guests tonight. We're going to jump right in tonight. No. There's one little story I wanted to throw out there that I read today in the New York Post. Blew my mind. So apparently there is a company that is renting out disabled people who need to be in a wheelchair in some shape or form, as tour guides for rich families that go to Disney World. And of course, the whole point is, obviously at Disney World, if you are disabled, they let you go right to the front of the line. So the tour guide is basically selling, tour guides that are disabled so these rich folks can go straight to the top of the line at Disney World. And there's this is a story in the New York Post today. Blew my mind. Renting out disabled people as tour guides simply to be able to get to the front of the line at Disney. I mean, really? Is it is it that serious that we need to rent out disabled people?
Hey, I tell you what. I know when I went to Disney World, we sure got the wheelchair. And we went to the front of the line 15 to 20 deep. And I tell you, no lie, you ask anybody, it was me, it was Maurice, it was Craig, Roger, my sister Nicole, my mama, Mickey, Joe, Chevy, Linville. That's 10 that I just named. And I'm talking about it was 2 buses full, and only one person had a wheelchair, and that was Joe. And they would switch up in the wheelchair, and we'll take turns pushing them. I had a great time at Disney World. We never waited in line with that wheelchair.
That don't make it right, brother.
Hey, I bet whoever started was black. We're going to find a loophole, and we're going to use it to our advantage.
I don't know, man. Just a company that is renting out, because, Disney as well, they have tour guides that they rent out that you can purchase by the hour, too. Of course, the cost for their tour guides is about at least 2 times the cost of this company who's selling disabled tour guides. But just the idea that, I don't know. I mean, a business is a business, I guess. And I guess everybody has a right to create their own niche in business. But something about, renting out disabled people just to get to the front of the line at Disney World. It just sounds like something's, morally wrong about that. I don't know.
If I had a handicap sticker, I would rent that out too. People got bills to pay, man. It's 2013.
It was funny because in the article they talked about, I guess the lady who discovered the idea, it was almost like a little secret network of families that would do it. And they just kind of, you had to be recommended for the particular service and so forth. And so, and then when you called, they'd ask, who recommended you. And apparently this is the way it worked. So, obviously, they felt, a little slighted in the sense that they had to, advertise secretly, if you will, for their service. But I don't know, renting disabled people just to get at the front of the line at Disney World. I tell you, that's crazy, man.
Hey, how much was he charging?
It was like 160 per
Now,
hour.
that's too much.
If I remember correctly.
Per hour?
160 per hour.
That's too. Now, see, you cutting
head.
head. Now, I don't mind you renting to disabled people. Go ahead, do what you got to do. But come on, now, if you got a hurt leg, do a different price. If you got a hurt arm, it depends. How old are you? Do the old people get percentages? Like, how does that work?
I don't know.
I don't knock it because I've done it. That's a good idea too.
Disabled people. All right, man.
We gonna pray for you, brother.
I'm just saying. I do need that too. Thank you, brother. Thank you. If anybody out there want to pray for Mr. King, you go ahead and you put that prayer to God.
All right, man. I'll move on. Like I said, I had read that story today. And just blew my mind. I can't believe that. Written disabled people just to get at the front of the line at Disney World. What? $160 per hour. It's a good business, I tell you that.
I'm telling you.
I hope they paid those people well.
Do they get taxes taken out of that? How does that?
I don't
Straw man gonna get you.
I don't even know, brother. I don't even know.
I don't know either, but I need to Google that.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk to our first guest here, Mr. Chad McKendrick. This is everybody knows Mr. Chad McKendrick in the city of Orlando. He is everywhere, Mr. McKendrick. But just in case there's somebody out there that didn't know, sir, introduce yourself one more time for me.
Good evening, everyone. Chad McKendrick. I've been in financial service business for 24 years, and I wrote a book called Living Beyond Your Paycheck. And in the book, I'm teaching families on how to manage money. I'm a graduate from the University of Florida. I work with youth ministry. I work multiple things in the church. I do some of everything. I wear multiple hats. And but I enjoy most of all is encouraging families on how to manage money.
All right. You're the money coach, right? That's what they call you, right?
Yes, sir.
Money coach. Now one of the reasons I brought you on, I know you're having an event on Saturday, right, sir?
Yes. We are doing a money management class on Saturday. At Macedonia is hosting it. It's from 9 to noon. The cost is $35 for the book and workbook and light refreshments. So it should be a great day. We're going to teach families on how to manage money better.
All right. Now, and I assume there's still seats available there, right?
Yes, we still have seats available. They can purchase it at the door.
Purchase it at the door. That's at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in Eatonville, another storied place in the great city of Orlando, or at least near the great city of Orlando, Eatonville. So tell us some of the things that will be discussed there.
Well, we're going to be sharing with families on how to get rid of some of your fears. We have quite a few fears. I always say the 3 fears. One of the fears is the fear of your family. We don't realize that we do fear our families because we buy things because of what our family is thinking about us. Meaning that if you're an executive, then you got to have the right house, you got to have the right car, you got to have the right clothes. So we do things that we're not able to afford only because of the fear of what others would say. So we're going to talk about those fears. We also talk about saving money. If you make any money, you should be able to save some money. Some people say they can't save any money. That's why my book is called Living Beyond Your Paycheck, because there is a way that you can save money, but it's just how you're managing it.
Okay.
Can you tell us some of those examples of ways?
Example is when you get your money, first thing you do is you think about what you're going to spend it on. Well, the understanding of understanding human nature is you study children, they'll tell you your nature. Your nature is kids will spend every dime that they have. No matter what you give them, you give them money and they go in the candy store, they're going to spend every dollar. Well, if you want to know your nature, that's what we do as human beings. We spend money, and our brain will figure out ways of spending it. So no matter how much we have, we will spend it. But I always teach the classes the law of lift supersedes the law of gravity. That's what the Wright brothers found out. Well, the law of saving supersedes the law of spending. So that's why you have to save first. As soon as you get the money, you got to save it. You got to put it aside for saving, because if you don't, it will be smart.
So you advocate paying yourself first, right?
You got to do it. You must do it. Well, I added a little bit more. It's called share, save, and spend. When I teach in the schools, I teach them that you got to share, you got to save, and then you start to spending. Because if you don't share with anyone, then you're going bankrupt. You got to send money ahead, not only just for yourself. You got to send money ahead. When the scriptures say, "Give and it shall be given unto you," well, if you don't give to anyone, then who's going to give unto you? When you having a hard time, then who's going to help you out in a hard time? Well, you never help no one else out in a hard time. So sharing is key element of our finances. Is that you must share. Even when I go into the schools, I teach them about sharing. Now, if you're a Christian, you know God already tell us what we supposed to do. That's the first thing we supposed to do is share. So I teach the families on how to do that. Because you can share and you can save, but if you're not managing that money, it's going to be hard to sharing and saving. And that's what most people have a challenge with doing. And what I do is I teach a strategy on how you can, no matter how much money you make, you can always share, you can always save.
Okay. All right. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Give us a call if you want to talk to Mr. McKendrick here. Excuse me, a little under the weather tonight, but we're gonna press through this. So, on that sharing and saving and spending, with the share portion, you said that obviously sharing is an important part of it, especially like you said as a Christian. So would you advocate, at least for the Christian folks out there, is that share a big portion of that sharing related to their tithes and their offerings to their church, or is it something beyond that?
Both. Sharing with the church and sharing beyond that is important. We should be willing and ready to share. Paul said, be ready to distribute. He told the rich people, be ready to distribute. I mean, that he wants you to be on guard, ready to help someone in a time of need. So sharing is a very key element of our walk with Christ. We don't have a problem with that in the church, of sharing. There's a lot of people will give a tithe, will give an offering. The problem we have in the church is managing money. What we do with that 90. What we do with the 10, we say, okay, we give it to the Lord, but that 90, we just blow it. But I look at managing money as like putting a hole in the cup. If a hole is in the cup, no matter how much money you put in that cup, it's still going to come out. If you're not managing it, you're going to have a hole in your cup. So you keep saying, well, people say, well, I want more money. You don't need more money. You need to manage that what you have. Once we manage what we have, then you can determine if you need more. But we're not managing that what we have, but we treat God different than we treat our children. If our children mismanages money, they ask for more, you gonna give them more? No. But we want more from God when we haven't done right by His.
Okay. All right. Piggybacking on the fear comment you made, what do you find is the biggest fear that people have?
Fear of friends and family.
That's the biggest one?
The biggest one. Fear of friends and family. Fear of friends and family is more than a creditor. They fear family. They don't even realize it, though, because it's a soft fear. That soft fear is like, you on the radio station, you're supposed to be riding in something nice. So you ain't making the kind of money you need to make, but yet you got to get that car because
people expect that.
That's right.
So it's like a peer pressure.
That's right. We do it and we don't even realize we're doing it. Even when we go to church, well, everybody around here got on nice clothes. Well, I need to go over there to Macy's myself. Or we'll go to the thrift store and get in and act like we did go to Macy's.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till we make it. That's right. Because of the fear of friends and family, I had to get over that real quick. When I had a car, I had a 16-year-old Diamante. It was dusty. It was sucking up paint. But I was an executive in financial services at my own agency, riding in a Dust Bowl car. Well, God had me to ride in it for a while. Why? Because I had to get rid of friends and family out of my heart because I was fearing them. And I rode what I rode in, and I continued to do my work. Then one day he said, okay, now go get the car. I went and got a Lexus. So now I ride nice, but it's not based on being pushed by someone to make me do that because my status says I have to have it. No, I do it when I'm able to do it. When my finances says I can do it.
Friends and family. That's that peer pressure, keeping up with the Joneses, as they like to say. That will get you every time.
Every time.
Every time.
But we say we don't have that though.
Right.
You know, no, that's not me. I don't live like the Joneses. No, yes you do. You don't graduate from the University of Florida. You got you a little job now. You haven't made not one paycheck, but yet you're going to buy a car. Who you doing that for? You don't have the money. What you doing that for? The pressure's on.
You know, and I noticed that about people when, like during tax season, a lot of people, you know, they don't have the money before tax season. But as soon as their income tax check come in, before it even come in, it's already spent.
It's already spent.
They act like, oh, I got to get it tomorrow.
Right.
It's like you didn't have the money before, you know, the W-2 came in, so why you just can't wait that extra week instead of paying $300 extra more dollars to get it tomorrow?
That's right.
Makes no sense, but that's what people do, though.
But we do that only because reactive spending are broke people. Proactive spenders are wealthy. Reactive meaning that I got to get it now. I got to have it. I ain't got to do nothing now but accept Jesus as my personal Savior. That's it. Right now. I need that right now. Anything else, it can wait. Even when I get my money, I have to program myself. If I get a drop of money in my account tomorrow, I'm gonna wait till Thursday before I even do anything. I'm gonna move my money around where it's supposed to go, and then I'm gonna sit on it for a minute. Now you're not gonna pressure me to paying you today. No, you just hold off till tomorrow. Well, I gotta come pick that car up. Well, come get it. Well, I got whatever you got to do what you got to do. But I got to do what I got to do. I got to stay calm because, see, I make good decisions in the calm state.
Right.
Most people are in a pressure state, so they always lose money. When you ever in a pressure state, you will lose money quickly. You have to be in a calm state to make decisions. That's why I like when people say, I got to sleep on it. That's a good thing. Sleep on it. Because, see, you won't make that impulse decision.
Right. A lot of people get excited when they get a little money.
That's right, and that's what the devil wants you to do is be excited because he's gonna steal from you. That's how he steal from you, get you excited emotionally. I got another $100. I don't know where this $100 came from. That's right. I'm finna go buy some shoes. Praise the Lord. Yes, it was a blessing. Let me go spend this blessing. Yep, that's it.
That's definitely a problem people have. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Yeah, man. You like you said, we definitely have a problem, especially in our community with saving. You know, you look at the wealth for African Americans. I mean, and it is peanuts compared to what the averages for white families have. And a lot of that has to do with savings.
Yes.
You know, we don't save in our community like we should because we're always, like you say, we always fear we don't have enough. But like you say, you have enough. You just have to figure out how to manage it properly.
Yes. Well, I come to find out that it's almost 90% of middle-class Americans can't put their hands on $1,000. And I tell them all the time, I say, if you can't get your hand on $1,000, then you need to be in my workshop. If you can't get you should be able to get your hands on $1,000 because $1,000 will solve any major problem that you would come up against. But most of us don't have it because we don't plan for it. If you don't plan for it, you won't have it. So because we're going to spend what we do is we get our money and we spend our money, and then they say, okay, if I got some, I'm gonna save some, or if I got some left, then I'm gonna share some. So we do it. What I teach is the opposite way around. Is that you put the money aside for sharing, put the money aside for saving, and then you begin to work from that. Now, whoever can get in line for me to pay you on that, that's what I'm gonna pay you from. I teach my businesses to do the same thing. You take your profit off the top. Now everybody else get paid. Because who's the brain trust? You are. But we don't think like that. We say, oh no, I gotta pay my bills. No, you better pay yourself first because your bills need you. If you was on the airplane, the stewardess says, when you got to get, as oxygen goes away in the airplane, they said put it on yourself first and then put it on the child. You know why? Because if you put it on the child first and you fall out, that child can't help you. But if you put it on yourself, you can help that child fall out. Well, I say that about my creditors. I need the money saved because if I don't get no more income, I can take care of the creditor. But the creditor ain't going to take care of me.
Right. Credit be paid off. You'll be out of a house.
Right. They're not going to give me no money. So I'm going to take care of me first, and then I'll take care of the creditor. So if I can take care of me, then I can turn around and take care of the creditor. I'm not saying not to take care of your responsibilities. What I'm saying is that you have to put it in the right perspective first before you start taking care of your responsibilities. And sometimes you have to call that creditor and say, well, I'm sorry, I can't take care of it today. Call them before they call you. He that calls first wins.
And that's why they constantly call.
That's right. That's right. But I want to know your name. What's your name? I need to know your name, and I'm going to call you back. On the day that I said I'm going to bring the money, I'm going to call you back. Hey, Jan, how you doing? This is Chad again. Oh, they shocked because they don't think that I was going to call back.
Right, right.
But I'm just calling to let you know I don't have it right now.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for calling.
There you go. It happens every time.
Too funny. All right, man. We want to thank Mr. McKendrick for coming down. Tell them about the workshop one more time, sir.
Yeah, the workshop is on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. We're going to be talking about the things that we've been talking about tonight, and we're going to help you begin to get a thought process of your money because we're not thinking. We just pretty much going through life. This is a great way of hearing some different ways of thinking about our finances so we can do better of managing and being proactive instead of being reactive. And it's $35 for the workbook and the book. My book is Living Beyond Your Paycheck. And once we give you the workbook, we're going to go step by step on how to actually manage your money, answer questions of things that you have in your mind about your money. So it should be a good session on Saturday from 9 to noon.
9 to noon, Macedonia Church. All right, man. We appreciate you, Mr. Kendrick, for coming down.
Okay.
Again, we always love your conversation, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go ahead and transition to our next guest, Congressman Bruce Antone. He's going to come in the building in a moment here. 407-894-1680 is the number. If you want to give us a call this evening, while we wait on him to get in the building here, playoffs, man. Everybody been watching. You watching those Heat, man? Is the Heat impressing you yet, Mr. King?
I don't give two smacks about the Heat. I'm mad that my Knickerbockers, I think they just lost. According to what Mr. Kellen Bell has just informed me, I'm going to put you out there since you're not listening. He just informed me that they lost.
The Knicks lost tonight. So
they need to be in a church league. That's what he said.
Now they're down. That means they're down 3-1 too now.
Yeah, also. Yes.
Everybody's going down. The Thunder's going down 3-1.
We all know who's going to win the ring. I mean, it ain't no secret who's going to win the ring, so it doesn't really matter.
Who, the Heat going to win the ring?
And of course the Heat going to win the ring. But
now, of course.
I told you that last year when the refs were cheating. What you want me to do? Change up my story and say the ref's not going to cheat this year? No.
Okay.
The ref cheated last year. The ref's going to cheat this year. Whenever LeBron is the chosen one.
What about Dwayne Wade, Jeremy? There's been a lot of talk today whether or not with Dwayne Wade going having his troubles, whether or not they can maintain this championship run.
Since you brought up Dwayne Wade, let's get on Dwayne Wade and these Knickerbockers.
And them capris.
The skin-tight capris. And then he had a man carrying his bag.
Well, LeBron had something on a few weeks ago, so you can get on both of them about that.
I understand you on South Beach, but you don't need no capris.
I don't understand.
Like, come on now.
I understand where you at.
You got
we ain't supposed to have no capris.
You got your church pants, skin tight, and they stop at your calf muscle. Are you serious? And then you got on some penny loafers
with no socks.
Oh my gosh, this is tragic. Dwayne, I heard rumors of this is why Gabrielle ain't got no ring yet. I don't want to say who told me that, but they told me this is why Gabrielle ain't got no ring yet, and you requested Chris Bosh come to the match. I mean the Heat. That's what I heard. I don't know if that source is true.
Yeah, he did have the other night at the what he wore to the game. He had a suit on with some his pants came, like you said, right above his calves is where they ended.
And they were super. I didn't even know he was bow-legged till I seen him in the skin tight pants. Like, really, dude?
That was his outfit for the evening.
You know that he was on the way to the arena. They showed him. It wasn't last game. It was one of the games before, and he had on a skin tight suit. And I was like, Mom, did you see this? She like, that's the style. I said, that ain't no style. This is when we start wearing skin tight suits.
I don't know when the brothers start wearing skin tight suits.
I don't know.
I don't know when they start wearing.
I know I don't own
started
any
wearing
skin
those
tight
skinny
suits.
pants,
I ain't never heard of nothing like that.
They just taking it on from there.
You know why?
Skinny pants.
You know, me and my wife had a conversation last night. Like, remember when the dudes that played ball used to walk around in jeans and T-shirts all the time? When did the ball players become so? Well, let me say that. Now, they have always kind of been fashionable. You know, even back in the day, Walt Frazier them was fashionable.
Right.
But it to me, it got to a point where they I don't know, they just a little too pretty.
Well, you know, one of the rules that they had mandated for those players.
I'm not talking about wearing the shirt and tie and all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being too fashionable. With the skin tight suits and all that stuff, come on now.
You know, one thing I do,
Capris, come on, bro.
They getting a little too outrageous.
It's to me, it's just too much.
Because you have to have it. So what they're saying is this: if you're gonna make me dress up, I'm gonna add my own type of swagger to it, and their swagger is a little homosexual. And that's the bottom line. It would be nothing wrong if they came in a more masculine swagger, but their swagger is a little. I even seen Jason Collins and his brother on Jay Leno now. Oh my gosh, don't get me back started on last show. Why you on Jay Leno, dude? Don't get me started on that. But it's just too much going on, man. It's just too much.
Yeah, brother, that Jason Collins story is everywhere.
Like they say, man,
talk about that.
President Obama don't talk to Nelson Mandela. President Obama don't speak to none of these black leaders. But you did speak to? He spoke to Jason Collins. What you speaking to Jason Collins for, Mr. Obama? You got other issues to be dealing with. Besides, Jason, we really appreciate you for what you have done for America, your country. You've come out the closet. What? Oh, my God. Where Miss McCrae at when you need her? Where you at now, Miss McCrae? I know you're listening. Talking about your president and mine.
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, man, he's hurt though. You could clearly see in last night's game where his knee was just. It seems like he can barely walk almost. Something about he was saying how he had to take his brace off so that they could move his kneecap over to make his knee not hurt as much. You think they can win it if he's hurt? You think they can still take it all the way if he's hurt?
Who gonna beat him?
I think they can, honestly, because the team, they deep. They real deep this year. They better than they were last year.
But see,
they really are.
The thing about that, the thing about that is, I think that Memphis team is pretty darn tough to beat. Now, if the Spurs can beat Minnesota, I think Memphis might give Miami a run for their money whenever they do, bump heads and collide, because Memphis is unstoppable right now. Last year they was good with Rudy Gay. Now without Rudy Gay, they got some experience with Tayshaun Prince and everything to that nature. So I'm really looking out for Memphis. In New York, I don't know what is going on with New York. They're not really playing. They're not playing team basketball right now. It's kind of really affecting them. It ain't got nothing to do
with team basketball.
Yes, it does.
The problem is J.R. Smith is not doing what he did during the season.
Right.
So when you missing him 20 points a game that he usually hitting, that's what they losing by.
What a Magic hit. Anyway,
the Magic. I ain't no big Magic fan. What you ask me about the Magic?
That's your team. You a Bulls fan?
Nah, not a Bulls fan.
You used to be a Bulls fan. Scottie Pippen.
What's the key word? What was the key word?
With that Scottie Pippen poster was on his wall for years.
Yeah, for years.
His freshman.
And it's still in the garage.
And it's still in the garage. Rolled up.
He still got that poster.
That's sad.
But we'll move on. Mr. Bruce Antone has joined us. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Good evening. How are you doing?
Doing great, brother.
We're doing great. So we obviously brought you on to talk about the recent legislative session. Give us just your quick thoughts and opinions. Was it productive in your mind?
Yeah, I think it was actually a productive session. We did a $74 billion budget this year. That was the biggest budget we've ever had in Florida. And so we were able to pass some stuff that benefited Orlando, but a lot of big issues came up. Attempted changes to the Florida retirement system, pay raises for teachers, pay raises for state employees. Neither of those two had a pay raise in 6 years. We did some stuff with Obamacare. That failed. But it was just a number of big issues that we took on this year. And we had some success on some issues. and other issues not so successful. But it was a good year.
Good year, huh? All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's, speaking of the city, what is happening that's going to benefit the city?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I work with some of my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, namely myself, Representative Randolph Bracey, Senator Geraldine Thompson, some of the Republicans like Andy Gardner, Steve Precourt. But we brought home some money that's going to benefit particularly my district, which is most of the African-American community in Central Florida. So we got about $167,000 for the Paramore Kids Zone. So, that's programs down in Paramore that helps kids. We got $300,000 for the Urban League. We got $800,000 for a pedestrian walkway over Silver Star Road near Pine Hills Road. So
that's
folks,
a very good idea.
Yeah, when you look at the number of folks crossing the street, 4-hour period, 429 folks crossing the street near Pine Hills Road in a 4-hour period of time. We got about $600,000 for the National Entrepreneurship Center, which is going to help benefit minority businesses. So we'll do a lot of training, some classes there. We got $400,000 for a health cottage at Evans High School. So we'll be able to provide some health care services there and do some renovations to a building. $300,000 for the town of Oakland. There's a old African-American section of the town there that doesn't have sewer. So we got $300,000 to start putting sewer in there. Then I got $200,000 for what I call an urban teacher training academy, and that's to teach teachers how to teach in an urban setting. And with this volunteer pre-kindergarten program, you got a lot of folks that are making $8 an hour, and they don't know how to teach kids. So we're going to go in and train them how to teach a basic curriculum to the kids. And, I can go on and on, but we brought home some money this time.
Oh, okay. Now the Urban Academy, that's piggybacking on something you did the last time you were in office, correct?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, what exactly are these teachers learning exactly?
Well, basically, they're teaching how to teach in an urban setting. So in an urban environment, say in my district, the teachers have to be counselors. They have to be surrogate parents, surrogate nurses, surrogate doctors. They have to wear a number of hats. They have to play a number of roles. And so we're teaching them stuff like classroom management. What is the best way to teach kids that can't sit still in their seats? So again, it's all the best practices that folks have learned over the years. This is how you teach in that particular setting.
All right. I see we have a caller. How you doing tonight? Is it Hest? Is that how you say it? Hello? Is it here? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Is it Hess? Is that how you say your name?
Yes, sir, Brother Hess. Thank you so much.
All right. What's your comment tonight?
Basically, I just wanted to hear from the man that's speaking. I just wanted to see if he would kind of elaborate on what they're doing as far as the treatment sector. I've seen that a lot of guys have been getting incarcerated for different charges of, a lot of violent crimes as well as crimes that are centered around drug use and so forth and so on. And they said a lot of these people have not been given any treatment, even inside of prisons. They are not having treatment, and even when they're reestablishing themselves inside of the communities, there's very little places in the inner cities as well as out of communities where they're actually having availability to treatment for different illnesses and different not only mental illnesses but diseases as far as addiction and alcohol abuse and violent tendencies and so forth and so on. I was wondering, is any of this money being pushed toward treatment of the situations that a lot of our Black Americans are constantly being assaulted with?
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Hess, that's a good question. This year we did appropriate additional dollars for mental health and substance abuse. One of the things we're going to have to do is hold the correctional systems folks accountable. We're going to have to make sure that they're providing those services to people coming back into our community. And one of the biggest problems with folks that are coming from our jails, our prisons, is they really need hands-on case management. They need somebody to walk them through that process from maybe even getting a driver's license, a bus pass, housing, whatever kind of benefits they qualify for, education, training, what have you. So again, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as a legislator, I'm going to have to work with the state agencies and my other fellow legislators to make sure that those services reach the people coming out of our prison. So we've got our work cut out for us on that particular issue. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, most definitely. But pretty much, and like you said, is there a way that you all actually go in and incorporate ways of being able to communicate with the guys who are in the field, the front line soldiers, if they so to speak, and get some form of assessments done with the guys who actually are dealing with the reentry and not having any money outside of $25 that they leave the prison system with?
Right. I'm sure there are some agencies out there. I'm just not aware of those agencies right offhand, but I will make it a point to try and identify those agencies. I will give you my office phone number, and if you want to call and follow up with that, we can. My phone number is 407-245-0303, and again, that's 407-245-0303. 0303, and like I say, I will give it my best shot in trying to get you some definite answers on that, because I know that's needed. I know it's needed in our community.
Thank you for your call. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Now, speaking of the session, now I know that you sponsored a number of bills yourself. There was a couple here that the thing that kind of struck me though is what do you think the reason for why they sort of died in committee is that I know there's a lot of Republicans up there and the Democrats are few in number. I know that is against you, but any other reasons why the things that you put forth kind of failed?
Well, generally that's the number one reason. We only have so much time. There were about 2,000 bills that were filed this year. Only about 300 to 350 of those bills actually passed. So of those 6 bills that I filed, 2 passed, one dealing with healthcare accreditation for hospitals and mental health providers and nursing homes and things of that nature. And then there's one I had dealing with informed consent for HIV and AIDS testing. That did not pass as a bill, but the Agency for Healthcare Administration actually implemented it in what they call rules, so it's almost like an executive order. But a lot of times my bills don't necessarily fall in line with the agenda of the committee person. So it's not heard. The Stand Your Ground bill, which I definitely thought we were going to have a hearing on this year, they didn't hear any Stand Your Ground bills. And as the leader told me, Bruce, this issue is too toxic. We don't want Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Michael Basin coming to town and raising a ruckus, so we're not going to hear any Stand Your Ground bills. And there were probably 15 Stand Your Ground bills, some Democrat and some Republican. So you have reasons like that. I had one dealing with school improvement. They just said, we'll come back next year and deal with that. One dealing with real estate. I didn't have a Senate companion, so that bill wasn't going to go anywhere.
Okay. All right. Like you said, it's all about making connections and forming connections with people. That's the key. And so if you don't have the connections, they're not getting through, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Speaking of the Stand Your Ground, now I know that I remember doing the elective seasoning. That was one of the big things on your agenda. Do you still think, I know in light of when the Stand Your Ground came to the forefront, it was basically because of the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case.
Right.
And so now we're getting closer to at least the trial on this, and we see that it's apparently at this moment in time they're not using Stand Your Ground as their defense.
Right.
Do you still think that there's changes that need to be in place, even though the sort of the hallmark case of that is not even falling into that particular category?
Oh, most definitely. Like I say, the leadership basically told me we won't hear it this year, but we will next year. The bill that I offered up was what I called a common sense bill, and I sponsored that with Senator Chris Smith out of Fort Lauderdale. My bill did 3 simple things, and this is why we call it common sense. First of all, it said, if you are the aggressor, or in the case of George Zimmerman, you cannot claim stand your ground or self-defense should something go down. Okay, so common sense. The second part, the stand your ground law right now says that if a person claims self-defense or stand your ground, they cannot be detained or arrested. So my bill says law enforcement now would have the option to detain or arrest the suspect. And then the third part of my bill would create a statewide database. So every case where somebody claims stand your ground or self-defense, that would go into the database, and that would be used as kind of a metrics tool, kind of a research database. But changes to that law are definitely needed. I will give you an example. Down in Miami, a guy looks out his window and he sees somebody stealing a radio in his car. So he grabs a knife, goes down, chases the guy 2 blocks away, and stabs the guy to death. And says, stand your ground when the guy supposedly swung a bag of stolen radios at him. You know, so you've got cases where drug dealers have been getting off. They get into a confrontation doing a drug deal. So, pow, oh, man, I'm just standing my ground. You know, so there are definitely some changes that need to be made to that law. And I think you will see those changes next year. They won't repeal the law. That's a guarantee. It won't be repealed. But we will see some supposedly common sense changes to the law. So did I answer your question there?
Yeah, definitely. 407-894-1680 is the number, 407-894-1680. If you want to talk to Congressman Bruce Antone here tonight. A couple other things I saw. Now, these are a couple of things that I was reading about, and a couple of them passed, a couple of them did not. And I'm just curious as to, you know, that insider perspective, if you will. Now, one that was interesting, I had Ms. Jasmine Burney on last week, and she mentioned the sick leave bill that passed. And so what it did is it banned local governments from requiring employers to provide sick leave benefits for their workers, which was an initiative that they were trying to do in Orange County last election cycle. It didn't make the ballot, but they were trying to do it here. But now this particular bill pretty much shuts that down completely. Even if it was there, it's not going to be in effect. What was kind of the thinking on even, you know, creating this particular bill? Do you know?
Well, essentially, the business community was against providing additional sick leave. And it's not only sick leave, it's additional employee benefits like a living wage or some other kind of benefit that you might offer your employees. Now, what the business community would do, they come in my office and say, look, Bruce, man, this county we got to offer sick leave. This one we don't. This one we got to pay $12 an hour. This one got to pay $9 an hour. It's an accounting nightmare for us. It's costing us all this extra money. Look, we already do sick leave for our employees. You know, we have an honor system. When you get sick for real, then we'll give you the time off. But if it's mandated that they have to have sick leave, you're going to have some employees that just going to take advantage of it. If you give them 20 hours of sick leave, they're going to take 20 hours. And so that was the whole reasoning behind it from a state level. They just didn't want to have one more mandate or one more thing that's going to cost them forced down their throat. I hope that made sense.
It definitely makes sense.
It definitely makes sense from a business,
right?
From a business perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think about it from the employer, though? Do you think it's something that's needed?
Man, you know, everybody does things different. My wife and I have a small business. We only have 5 employees. We need all of our employees at work every day, okay? So if you're sick, then we'll make allowances. We'll find a way to work around it. But, you know, we have to give them 2 weeks sick leave every year. You know what's going to happen? They going to take that 2 week sick leave whether they sick or not. And instead of taking their vacation time, they're going to take the sick leave. So, I mean, that's my personal feeling about it. I think employees ought to have time off when they're sick. But I would kind of rather leave that up to the employer to figure out how to make that work for them, you know.
Okay. All right. If I'm inferring that you probably voted for that bill.
No. I voted against the bill.
You voted against? Okay. All right. He voted against that bill.
All the Democrats voted against that bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Oh, excellent. 47894-1680 is the number. What about the Medicaid expansion? Speaking, you know, of Obamacare, and that's going to be coming into effect next year. With the Medicaid expansion failing, I mean, does it not sort of complicate that issue?
Well, not really. The state of Florida has to do something by January 1st. And here's the deal. With Obamacare, PPAC, as they call it, the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, the federal government, Obama, was going to send the state of Florida $50 billion over the next 10 years to expand Medicaid. All right. So you had two competing proposals. One from the Senate, and we're talking about a very conservative Republican that said, let's give health care to these 1.2 million Floridians that don't have health care insurance. We're going to take Obama's $50 billion, and we're going to give maybe each person a $6,000 voucher to go purchase health insurance. Okay, so that was one proposal, which basically was Obamacare, but they didn't want Obama's name on it, so we'll just name it something else, okay? Then the proposal from the House was we would spend $300 million of the state's money. We ain't going to take none of that money from Obama, but we're going to come up with $300 million, and we only going to insure 130,000 people. And we'll give them a $2,000 voucher to go purchase some insurance. Now, you know you can't find no insurance, health care insurance for $2,000 nowhere.
Not at all.
No.
Now, here's the other problem with Medicaid. Sounds good, you know, Obamacare. But the deal is there are not enough doctors that are willing to take the reimbursement rates for Medicaid because they are low. So you got folks in, say, Gainesville on Medicaid. None of the doctors will take the Medicaid patients there, so they might have to drive to Daytona. They might have to come down here. So really, Medicaid is not the best health care system in the world, but it's better than nothing. Now, this proposal that Senator Negron put up, which says we'll give each person $6,000 and they can go find them some health care insurance, was actually a pretty good deal. And you think about it, you got Florida, Florida Blue Cross or Aetna or whoever. You say, look, man, I got 1 million folks, and each one of them got a check for $6,000. You know they're going to come up with some kind of health care plan for those folk, man. We ain't going to let all that money sit on the table, so they'll come up with something. You know, it might be a little stripped-down health care insurance plan, but they'll come up with something. So we're going to go back sometime between now and probably November in a special session, and we'll deal with Obamacare once again. But the way that generally works is all the Republican folks going to get together. They're going to come up with a solution. We'll go back to Tallahassee for a week. You know, they'll convene session. We'll vote on it. We'll be home by Wednesday. But something's going to happen, and they're going to take that $50 billion, I promise you.
So you think they will ultimately expand it, huh?
Oh, yeah. You'd be stupid to leave that kind of money sitting on the table. You know, and the other part that most folks don't know, a lot of folks go to the emergency room as their primary physician. So you ain't got no health care insurance, where you go? Emergency room. How long you got to wait? 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. All right? And those hospitals, Florida Hospital, Orlando Regional, they provide almost $300 million worth of unreimbursed health care through their emergency room. So when you look at Jackson Memorial down in Miami, anywhere from $500 million to $1 billion where they're not being reimbursed, you add up all the hospitals across the state, it's probably costing the hospitals $3 billion out of their pockets to provide health care to folks that just walk in the emergency room without insurance. So those are the kind of issues you're dealing with. So, I hope that makes sense, but that's what we're dealing with.
So they will be passing it, you think, in November? All right. Not going to let $50 billion sit off the table, you say, huh?
Not at all.
Okay.
And the whole thing was they just didn't want Obama to be successful. They don't want a health care plan that says Obama. Now, we're starting to learn that Obamacare ain't as cheap as we thought it was, so it might end up costing all of us some extra money. So, you know, we got to be concerned, too. Just because it's Obama don't mean we got to accept it now.
Say that again, because I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat that for me?
Just because it's Obama don't mean we have to accept it. It ain't necessarily the best plan for us.
You better watch out with that one now.
Oh, I know.
I saw you applied for re-election from 2014. Statements like that will get you not re-elected in this community, brother.
Oh, I agree. Can't say nothing bad about the bro president.
You cannot say nothing bad about Obama. You cannot, sir. It is against the law. Here's another one I had. So I read about this one. It was the parent trigger bill. So that one failed as well. Right. Which for the parent trigger bill that allowed parents to demand sweeping changes in failing public schools, including a charter school conversion. So tell me about that one. I thought that one wasn't a bad idea myself.
It's a terrible idea.
You think it's a terrible idea?
And I'll tell you what's going on. In what they call chronically failing schools that get multiple F grades, the parent can petition the school board to have a say-so in the plan to turn the school around.
Craziness.
All right. Yeah. So what's happening is you get
Too many ideas.
these nonprofit groups saying, man, we're going to help y'all out over at Jones. We're going to help y'all out at Evans, man. Hey, if you sign this petition, man, we'll give you a $100 gift card to Walmart. We'll give you a pair of Air Jordans or what have you, right? And so once they get enough petition signed, they can go to the school board and say, hey, man, we want a charter school. Well, the person or the persons that gave out the gift cards or the Air Jordans are the folks that own the charter schools.
Right.
And so it's just a way for them to make money. Now, what I can tell you is in a F school, the parent participation rate is low. You're doing good if you got 10 parents that come to PTA meetings. So all of a sudden now they know what's best for their kid. Okay, they don't care to show up, but they know what's best for their kid. That's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, it is.
So it was bad legislation. It sounds good on the surface, but it's bad. But what you got is for-profit charter schools coming in saying, hey, man, we'll take over the school, we'll turn around. I can tell you, charter schools don't work. For the most part, they don't work. They fail everywhere. Because in the black community, and I can tell you when I was here, it's closed now, kids would go to 5 different schools in 1 year. They start off, say, at Evans, then they transfer, then they come back by Christmas time, then they transfer, then they come back. You know why that's the case? The apartment move-in living specials. Or they got to go stay with this sister this week, Aunt Mamie next week. I mean, they just moving. And you can't teach kids when they moving around that much. You just cannot.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. We are talking with Congressman Bruce Antone. Great conversation too. Great conversation.
Man, you got some good questions. I was getting nervous if what I was getting answer.
Bro, go weird.
No reason to be nervous. Now here's one that just kind of blew my mind. It was the wine kegs bill that allowed wine to be sold in 5 gallons instead of 1 gallon. Really? Was that needed, sir?
It wasn't needed, but that's just somebody trying to make some extra money. You know, that's all it is. And as it was explained to me by the distributors, the beer distributors, you can buy the 5 keg and the wine or whatever doesn't spoil as quickly because of the packaging and stuff, you know, versus you buy that one thing. So it's all about money. Everything in Tallahassee is about money. I promise you. Social issues, very little. Everything else is about money and making sure you can't compete against me.
Is that right? Okay.
I appreciate the honesty. That's what I appreciate.
Yes, it's
Seriously, I appreciate the
refreshing,
honesty. His an elected
please.
official say it. 'Cause I've been saying it for a long time.
Hey, it is, man. Rich man's game.
Rich man's game.
I'm just a poor man up there trying to pretend.
Now you've been at this a long time now.
20 years.
20 years, right? You've
Yeah.
been in and out of public office and around public office, right?
Yeah, 8 years I was chief of staff to State Senator Buddy Dyer, now Mayor Buddy Dyer. So I was his chief of staff. Then I got elected in 2002 and stayed there until 2006. And then I got real ambitious and ran for county commission, lost against Tiffany Moore. And sat out for 6 years. And some folks flew in town and said, hey, man, can you run for one of these 2 House seats we got open? You know. And so I jumped in the race with 75 days to go and won the race. I mean, that's what it came down to. But I had name recognition. I had to stay visible in the community. Even though I wasn't in office, I was still out there helping folks. You know, I was still helping the ministers with some of their projects. Folks would call me sometimes before they call their elected officials. Bruce, I need some help. So that's just in my blood. So I did what I could to help them. So when it came time to run this time, they like, oh, we know that dude. You know, that's the dude with them blue and yellow signs. So,
So now tell me, what are you doing in your off season, if you will, from the legislative session?
Well, I'm hiding from my constituents. No, not really. Not really what I'm trying to do is, you know, I got an office on Tampa Avenue next to Rock Lake Elementary School. So what we'll do from now until we go back is we'll help constituents. So I've got a couple of workshops planned haven't set the dates, but one dealing with sealing and expungement of criminal records. We've got one that's going to be dealing with caregivers. How do you care for your parents when you become the caregiver, when they're bedridden, when they're, stricken with cancer, whatever, and they can't take care of themselves? So what are the resources that are available to do that? We're going to have some economic development workshops, how to start a business, how to function as a nonprofit, just a number of workshops. But every day, folks are calling into the office needing help, whether it's a VA issue, whether it's a Medicaid issue, whether it's a food stamp issue, whether it's the kids have torn down the fence over in Timberleaf, and kids are getting hurt. You got all kind of stuff like that, So I'll stay busy, trust me.
And then what are you planning to work on for the next session?
Economic development money for urban communities. So trying to find a way to incentivize businesses to come back into an urban setting. When you look at my district, which is everything from I-4, Orange Blossom Trail to Metro West, and from Silver Star Road south to Sand Lake Road, you got a whole lot of empty shopping centers. So you got Family Dollar, Dollar General, Buddy Buy Right, the hair store. You got all these discount stores. Man, we need to bring some high-quality stores back into this community, So, and we need to create some jobs. So if we've got all these empty shopping centers, maybe they can put a call center in there. Maybe they can put a light manufacturing center in there. Maybe they can create some kind of jobs. But we're going to have to find a way to incentivize those businesses to bring those jobs back into the community. And they need to be paying $12 to $15 an hour at a minimum. You look at West Oaks Mall, 60 empty stores in that mall. So it's on the verge of, collapsing. So if we let all these businesses go away in our community, there go the jobs. Okay, then it costs more for folks to get to work, get home, empty shopping centers, then you got vandalism, then you got crime, and we don't need no more churches in these shopping centers. They taking over, man. I'm a Christian, but dude, we got too much crime in our neighborhood. We got 1 million churches popping up, and we got too much crime. So we got to find a way to employ people, man. So I know my time's up. But thank you all, man.
We thank you. Thank you for coming down. One more time, go ahead and give them the office number to reach you, sir.
Okay, you can reach me at 407-245-0303. And again, it's State Representative Bruce Antone. My phone number is 407-245-0303.
All right. We thank you, sir, for coming down tonight and having a conversation with us. This is Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. We're signing off. We'll see you next week. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Real Family Talk. Y'all have a good night.
Let's go Knicks. Go.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.